Now I should be recording. Okay. It's recording now. I will begin to share. The recording is not meant for any student. Somebody is requesting to record. No, it's not for you. Just sit and listen. Don't fiddle with anything, please. You disrupt the class by that. So, can you see my screen? Okay, so good afternoon once again. It's fourth week of class, as I said earlier, a little earlier. And the course, as you know already, is and today we're looking at history of science, number 3. We've done 2 out of 3. And the unit we are is unit 2 of module 2. And the subtopics we're considering today are scientific revolution and the classic ages of science. You all know that. In the messages sent to you and also on your e-learn platform, all of these you were informed about this, so you can't say you were not aware. So I would like you to tell me in the chat box just a few things about scientific revolution and classic age of science as you've read. Okay, so I'm checking the chat box. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Rachel Funke. Thank you. It's actually reminded me. Thank you. So tell me in the chat, the revolution, scientific revolution. I mean, things you read regarding this class. Just tell me, what can you remember that you read? Geocratic, is that it? Respell it. Geocentric, you mean? Heliocentric, yes. What does heliocentric mean? Somebody tell me what heliocentric means. And geocentric, what does geocentric mean? I'm waiting, our time is running. Okay, heliocentric is that sun is at the center of the universe. Thank you, Dada Queen. Referred to Stephen Gabriel, referred to as the advancement of beginning where discovery of air. Yes, thank you, Stephen Gabriel, Rachel Funke. Observation made by Copernicus and Galileo. Good. More coming. Heliocentric was introduced by Copernicus, says the sun is at the center of great green Roland. I saw that, thank you. Magacynthia is about the sun. Okay, the theory was proposed Sunday Helen by Copernicus, fine. Sunday Helen, Daniel. Oh yeah, now, what are the inventions at this period? What inventions were recorded and who made those inventions? Tell me 1 or 2 before we proceed. Inventions. Okay, famous. I saw that microscope, Dada Point, yes. Who invented microscope? Is it microscope or telescope? Geocentric, I saw that. Thank you. Telescope, famous Olubisi. Who invented telescope? Galileo, okay. Who is Kepler? John Kepler. Galileo telescope, Samuel Johnson, yes. Gas, okay. Udo Gift, what is gas? Okay, thank you all very much. We need to move on now. Thank you. Combination of gas and water. So you all, at least some of you have demonstrated that you read. And so with this class, it will consolidate what you've read and help you to retain it. So scientific revolution. This is the period that is usually called, that started between the 15th, that started in late 15th century and got to its highest point, to its peak in the 16th and 17th century. It was a period that witnessed complex change in scientific outlook. That's why you have revolution, Some revolution can be bloody, some revolutions can be very radical, in which there is a radical turnaround. That's why it's described as a period that experienced complex change in the outlook of science. And note the date it started, late 15th century to and got to its peak in the 16th and 17th century. Can you hear me? Adeyemi, what's the name of the lady? Can you speak? Oh, I muted you back. But can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So true experimental science that is free from philosophy and religion, it came about in the 16th and 17th centuries. If you remember last week, we discussed science in the medieval period. And in the medieval period, we saw the fusion of theology, of Christian thinking with science. But in this age of scientific revolution, there emerged experimental science that is devoid of philosophy and religion. So it is science plus science, science as science. And there are significant thinkers in this period in history. Those are their names we have on the screen, from Bacon to Newton to Galileo to Kepler to Copernicus. A good number of you contributed to telling us the ideas they put forward. So we're going to look at each one of these important thinkers in this revolution, one after the other. Okay, thank you. Reinhardt, Danladi, thank you. Can hear you clearly. Thank you. I just want to be sure. So it's not like I'm talking to myself. So Ptolemy. Okay. Ptolemy first. Ptolemy of Alexandria. Who is Ptolemy? Ptolemy was both a geographer and an astronomer who authored the book Our Majesty. So what he did in this book is to show us that heavenly bodies like the moon, like the stars, like the sun, and all the other planets, they move. We are considering Ptolemy of Alexander. The P is not pronounced, so it's kind of useless. The way P is useless in psychology, P is useless in many other disciplines, words. So Ptolemy, you start with T, just to be sure, okay? So to Ptolemy, the Earth is located at the center, and that is what is referred to as the geocentric view. Geography is the study of Earth, something like that. So a way to differentiate, to remember geocentric from heliocentric is to think of, okay, geography studies the Earth. So geo means that the Earth is located at the center. So it was Ptolemy that put forward the idea that the Earth is located at the center and you have all other planetary bodies revolving around the Earth. And this is what is referred to as the geocentric theory or the geocentric system or Ptolemaic system. Are we together? I suppose yes. So that's Ptolemy. Copernicus came, and what Copernicus simply did which is revolutionary in itself. Remember, we're considering this age, which is the age of scientific revolution. Copernicus turned around what Ptolemy said and said, no, it is not the Earth that is at the center of the universe. Rather, it is the sun. And that's why it's referred to as the heliocentric view. So Copernicus is somebody who was a Polish from Poland, was a mathematician, he was also an astronomer. So he challenged the existing view of his time. That is the view that Ptolemy of Alexandria had put forward. And what is the view that Ptolemy of Alexandria put forward? He had argued for the geocentric view. Geocentric view being the view that states that it is the Earth that is at the center of the universe, and other planetary bodies move around the Earth. Copernicus said no, rather, it is rather the sun that is at the center of the universe, while you have all the other heavenly bodies moving around the sun. And that view is what is called heliocentric. That is revolutionary. And we have, and this idea speaks to the revolution that Copernicus carried out. It speaks to the idea that majority do not always carry the vote. And what does that mean? That the fact that everybody agrees to something does not necessarily make that right. So it infuses some critical spirit in us that there was a time in the world in which everybody thought that the Earth was at the center of the universe. That was what was believed before Copernicus came. But Copernicus came, and through observation made it known that no, all of you, the world that believe this idea of Ptolemy, you've been wrong. The Earth is actually not at the center of the universe. Rather, it is the sun that is at the center of the universe. So when next somebody wants to tell you that this thing is true because everybody believes it, you should tell the person that no, there was a time in history in the world when everybody believed that the Earth was at the center of the universe, but it was proven to be false. Until this day, it's been proven to be false. I don't know if you want to get that. So the view is called heliocentric view. And so I'm showing you pictures so that you can see it. You see this first one, geocentric. You see the Earth. Can you see the cursor? You see the Earth is indicated blue, and you have Sun, Venus, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter at the center, around the Earth. That is what is called the geocentric view of Ptolemy. Now, this is the heliocentric view of Copernicus. The sun has moved from where it was here to the center, and you have every other thing surrounding it. That is the heliocentric view of Copernicus. So you have both of them side by side, the geocentric and the heliocentric, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. And I think maybe something like this was in the slide of last week that you missed, but you're not missing it again here. Okay. So Copernican theory, one thing we should know is that it wasn't based on experimentation. It didn't arrive at the revolution he made in history through experimentation, but rather it was based on hypotheses or logical assumptions. So he considered theory as a serious work in astronomy rather than in philosophy. So what he set out to do was to observationally and mathematically, that was how he put forward his idea. And so as a result, he had lots of conflict with the church authorities, because the church authority had gone with the idea that it is the Earth, that man, human, we are at the center of the universe. So the implication of Copernicus's theory is that we, humanity, we no longer stand at the center of creation, since the Earth is no longer at the center of creation. So Copernicus ran into a problem with the church. You know, the church held sway for a long time, especially in the medieval period and even early parts of the scientific period. So this did not immune him from landing into problem with them with his heliocentric view, because of the implication it has, which is that humans, we no longer stand at the center of creation, since the Earth is no longer at the center of the universe. So it's not surprising to know that the people at the time and the authorities, they felt bad. They didn't feel good about Copernicus's theory. So they considered it an affront to them and their Earth not being at the center of attraction in the universe. So the next person we are considering is Galileo Galilei. Galileo, you must have heard of him before. Okay, so Galileo was Italian, and he was the one that was said to have invented telescope. This telescope, he used it to view the heavens, and through it, he confirmed that Copernican theory was true. So Copernican, after he had made this theory, after he had revolutionized the world in which he lived in, he ran into problem, but we would say that many succeeding philosophers, scientists after him, even those not discussed in your in your text, somebody like Bruno was a philosopher at the time. He also agreed with Galileo. I mean, he also agreed with Copernicus. Galileo Galilei also agreed with the heliocentric view. So he was kind of vindicated, okay? But that still did not spare him from being, from inquisition. So Galilei, through his telescope, was able to view maybe the sky and found out that Copernicus was actually correct in his assertion that it's the sun that is at the center of the universe, and you have all other planetary bodies revolving around the sun. Upturning, that's Copernicus, upturning what Ptolemy of Alexandria had said that it was the earth. So it's not Galileo, just like Copernicus got into trouble with the church, he also got into trouble for, his audacity to be on this. So credit is usually given to Galileo for discovering and establishing the true method of physical sciences, because he combined both the experimental and inductive methods with mathematical deductions to obtain his results. So one of the greatest discoveries of Galileo was the invention of the telescope, which with the aid of this telescope, he saw countless stars whose existence no one had suspected. Okay, so the next person we are considering is Kepler. Can anybody tell me something about Kepler before we move on? Kepler, John Kepler. What did you read about Kepler? If you don't read anything, don't begin to open your text. But if you've read something and you remember, just put in the chat box I'm watching. John Kepler. What did you read about Kepler? He invented the law, okay, famous Olubisi Lydia, invented the law of planetary motion. Thank you, we shall see. Who else? Okay. So Kepler. So while Galileo was searching the heavens, Galileo had invented telescope, right? Galileo invented telescope. So while Galileo was looking at the heavens with his telescope and affirming what Copernicus had said, Kepler was searching them with his mind. So he made use of his mind. So he was the first to apply mathematics as an empirical instrument in searching for the laws of heavenly motion. So Lydia Olubisi famous was correct. Yes, correct. Was correct in her assertion, yes. Was the first, okay. So he was an advocate of heliocentric theory as well. So we've seen that Galileo is in support of heliocentric, heliocentric view of Copernicus. Kepler as well is in support. Even Bruno, that is not in your text, is in support of heliocentric. So Copernicus had himself vindicated because many other succeeding philosophers and scientists affirmed his theory. So his greatest achievement, that's Kepler as an astronomer, was that he discovered the 3 laws of planetary motion. What are these laws? Anybody in the chat? What are these laws? You know the laws, tell me in the chats. If not, you read it up on your own and note them. Faith Okafor, thank you. Adama Enemuna Monde, yes, I'm seeing your response. Thank you. So what are the laws that Kepler talks about? All planets travel about the sun. Okunuga Abiba, good. Kingsley, all planets travel around the sun in an elliptical path. Good. So I want you to read these laws and master them. Okay, just note them. Thank you all for those who have responded and those who will respond. So the next person is Isaac Newton. So 1660 appears to be the most important time in early discovery of modern science because it was in this 1660 that Newton achieved one of the greatest successes of all times. So through his work, he confirmed the results of Copernicus, Kepler, and Galileo. You see now, so it's not just Kepler and Galileo affirming Copernicus's heliocentric view. Newton as well confirmed that. So all their results form the first great synthesis of physical knowledge, which is the primary aim of science. So it means that science, one of the aims of science is to try to bring together facts that seem unrelated in order to be able to explain, predict, and control. That's aim of science. Science aims to explain, I should have highlighted this. Science aims to explain, predict, and control. That's science. So there was a kind of synthesis, tries to bring in facts that appear unrelated in order to fulfill the aim of science, which are to explain, note it, explain, predict, and control nature. Explain, predict, and control. So the next person on the scene is Bacon, Francis Bacon, an English philosopher of the modern period as well. So who is Bacon? He's regarded to be the one that systematized the scientific method. That's who he's known for. Another thing Bacon, Francis Bacon in England is also known for is for his theory of induction, criticizing enumeration by induction. I think in our first class, we have talked about Bacon a little bit, if you remember. So it marks the true beginning of modern science. You know, in our first class, we talked about the scientific methods, the various steps from hypothesis, observation, experimentation, theory formulation, definition of problem, if you remember and if you're following. We talked about scientific methods. So a person credited to have systematized it, to have put it in logical form is Francis Bacon. So he stressed the importance of scientific discoveries and inventions in giving us human mastery over the forces of nature. So Bacon, he laid emphasis on the importance that discoveries in science, inventions in science, how they help us, humans, to master the forces of nature. And a typical example or an apt example of it is this class we are having. It's as a result of scientific discovery, invention of the computer, of the internet, of Zoom, in which we are breaking barriers. If I take a census of where we are listening from, now it will be varied, okay? So can you just tell me, this is not to invade your privacy, can you just tell me where are you listening from? I am speaking from Abuja. I am speaking from Abuja. Where are you all listening from? Can you hear me? Is there a problem? Okay, you see it's varied. I've seen Lagos, I've seen Anambra, I've seen Port Harcourt, I've seen Plateau, I've seen so many. Calabar, I've seen Calabar, Lagos, Badagry, Enugu. You see, Akure, Lagos, Abuja. You see, it's many and varied. We are able to do this because of technological invention. Some of you are sitting in an AC title. It's technological invention, scientific discovery. So a philosopher that emphasized that so well, the importance or the role of discoveries in science, inventions in science, in which these inventions are discoveries to help us humans to master the forces of nature. A scientist who emphasized this is Bacon. That's what we're saying. Tunisia, somebody is listening from Tunisia, wonderful, Makodi Ebonyi. You see now, it's as a result of technology, scientific discoveries and invention. Okay, thank you all for your contribution. So during the Renaissance, science was still a branch of philosophy, but after that period, it succeeded in finding its own method of observation and all. Now, let me just give you a bit of history here, if I haven't done that in class already. We said when we were looking at Kwara, Lokoja, thank you all, thank you. We said when we were at some point in this class that all disciplines were once philosophy, one single discipline. So it was during this Renaissance that we mentioned in this third bullet that we experienced fragmentations of disciplines in which we now begin to have, we have natural science as a big, broad discipline. After that, we begin to have them separated into maybe chemistry, into physics, we begin to have fragmentation of disciplines. That's the sense in which philosophy is referred to as the mother of all disciplines. And metaphysics and aspects of philosophy is referred to as the queen of sciences. And that's why the highest degree in education is Doctor of Philosophy. I'm sure some of you are aware that Open University is having convocation this week, started this week. Okay, so that's what we're talking about in this third bullet. It was during the Renaissance. During Renaissance, science was still a branch of philosophy. So all disciplines were once philosophy. But after this period, it succeeded in finding its own method of observation and experiment where it is necessary. Mathematical analysis is used. So it was during the Renaissance that we begin to experience fragmentation of disciplines, that we now have various other disciplines. Owerri, Lagos, Kaduna, thank you. Kano, fantastic. Like practically all parts of Nigeria is represented, and even outside of Nigeria. Somebody is listening from Tunisia. Okay, so classic age of science. This is okay. Classic age of, this is the second aspect of the unit 2 that we're discussing today. So here, at this time, scientific revolution, excuse me, advances, scientific advances, they were restricted largely to physics, astronomy, and chemistry, that is to physical sciences. So it was in the 18th and 19th centuries further advances were made in mathematics and astronomy. So here in this class, in this age of science, there were also inventions. Like one of the major advancements in chemistry in this century was the discovery of the role of air and gases in chemical reaction. That is, what role do air and gas play in chemical reaction? Chemical reactions like combustion, that is burning, and respiration in organisms. So the person that is called the Newton of chemistry is the man called Antoine Laurent de Lavoisier. So who is this guy that we just mentioned and whose name is highlighted in red? He was the one who discovered that it was gas. This gas he called oxygen that helps burning to take place and respiration to take place. This might not seem new to you, but at the time it was new to them. It won't seem new to you because you are humans living in 21st century. You've experienced, you are experiencing and even experienced several advancements, technological advancements. Like now, ChatGPT is reigning, is trending in the world. Okay, have you heard of ChatGPT? Let me even ask you quickly. Have you heard of ChatGPT? Oshogbo, Obu, Mary, Akbar, Good. Have you heard of ChatGPT? Anyway. So it was new to them at this time because they didn't know it. But it was this de Lavoisier that discovered that gas, which he called oxygen, is what enables combustion, that is burning, and respiration to take place. So just as you know today, we take in what we call air in order to breathe. Just try to imagine that people that lived before Lavoisier thought of an activity like they didn't know it. It was strange to them. So when this Antoine made his invention, it was very well received, and that's why we keep giving him credit for this. So they were not able to explain why burning takes place in certain situations and not in others. Maybe burning takes place outside, but in an enclosed room, maybe burning did not take place. They didn't know till Antoine tells them or invented or discovered that gas, it helps burning and respiration to take place. So the 19th century is seen as the commencement of the scientific age for many reasons. And what are those reasons? Rapid growth of knowledge of nature, that's one reason. It was during this period that the view or idea people had of natural universe changed, because they recognized that human was also subject to physical laws of nature, processes as the world around her. Therefore, human should also be studied. So one of the reasons that made 19th century to be the beginning of scientific age, this underline. Also, it is an age in which it was discovered that humans should be studied. And we humans were, they recognize that humans, we are subject to physical laws and processes, just as the world around us now. So it's important for humans to be studied. And that birth, what we call the social science, human science. So I'm giving you an assignment. Explain 2 reasons in your own words, using your own words. By using your own words, I mean read your text, your course material, digest, and explain. Don't copy and paste or quote verbatim what you've read in your course material. You will digest, you will read, you will chew, you will swallow, you will digest, and you will bring it forth in your own words. Why 19th century is seen as the beginning of scientific age? There are many other reasons in your text. We're almost done. 3 more slides. So, major discoveries of the 19th century. Atoms and molecules, they were understood to be basic building blocks of matter. Cells, likewise cells, are also understood to be the basic building blocks of living things. There are other major discoveries of 19th century in your text. If I ask you to chat it to me now. Okay, an AI that writes content, fantastic. Songwater. Okay, good. Olojede Philip, that's correct. Okay. So read more of these discoveries in your material. So we've come to the end of the class, and this is a summary of what we've done so far. We started with the scientific revolution, and we discussed the views of Ptolemy, who is associated with the geocentric view, Copernicus' heliocentric view, Kepler, Galilei, Newton, Bacon. Kepler, Galilei, Newton, they agreed with Copernicus' heliocentric view. Kepler discovered the law of planetary motion, if I'm correct. Galilei invented telescope. Newton, Bacon systematized the scientific method. Also, the next thing we did, the contribution of each of these scholars to modern science. So each of those scholars on the screen that you know, we discussed each of them. Then in the classic ages of science, we discussed the contribution of Antoine Laurent de Lavoisier. And what did he do? Discover gas, oxygen, and which helps burning and respiration. His contribution, we looked at it. Then the reason 19th century is regarded as the beginning of the scientific age. And I gave you an assignment or two. What are the laws discovered by Kepler? Explain two other reasons in your words why 19th century is seen as the beginning of scientific age. Okay. So that is the end of today's class. Some are not getting the assignments. You see, you may just screen grab. Let me see if I can bring it back. They are writing on the screen again. Adigwe Steven, last week, you were making this annotation, whiteboard on the screen. Is it you again this time? Adigwe Steven, or any other person doing this in this class, stop these markings on the screen. Just listen. So those are the assignments. You may just screen grab as it's showing on your phone or whatever device you're using so that you don't take time. Okay, so you all are awesome. Thank you for being in class. It's time for your questions and answer. Or your question and answer, question and comments. Medium of submission, use the chats. Use the chat or send me an email. Many of you send me messages. Many of you send me messages and all that, you know. So you don't have to send me a message, maybe my email, maybe on that chat, especially more importantly on that chat section on your e-learn, send it there. I'll see it. You send me an email. You have my mail already. Please, you need the assignment. Where were you? Aisha Yaya. So if you have questions, comments, put up your hand, electronic hand, and I will see it. I'll stop sharing. Okay. Can I still see your hands while this screen is on? Let me see. I need to stop share. Okay. So hands are up already. Okunuga, number 1, Adam Doshima, number 2, Abdul Hamed, number 3, Ada Ferdinand, number 4, Stephen Gabriel, number 5. So Unmute yourself, Okunuga. Okunuga has the floor.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon, ma.
Yeah, thank you so much for this very interesting lecture. I think, and maybe all of us really enjoyed it.
Thank you too.
I'm able to impart knowledge of what we did not have before. My question is just on the assignment.
Okay.
The assignment giving us 2 assignments. I don't know if there are a number of pages that you have to write on the assignments. And is it going to be just one assignment in the 2 assignments in one file sent to your email, or just separate assignments sent to your email?
Well, okay. Thank you. Thank you. You see, I'm actually more interested in you studying the assignments on your own for yourself. But if you want to hold yourself accountable and you want to submit to me, it's fine. Both assignments on one page, in one mail. Yes, one mail and one page. Not
Sorry,
more
ma.
than.
Sorry, ma. I didn't get you when you said assignment. I was supposed to submit the assignment to you, or just for our own consumption, for our own knowledge. Because you said you have given us 2. From my own understanding of assignment, it means that you are asking us to write like essays on these 2 assignments and send to you. But is it just for our own understanding or what? I really don't get the issue of the assignments. Please, ma.
It's an assignment that you may or may not submit.
Okay, I get it now.
Do you a lot of good if you study it?
Okay. Okay, it's clear now.
If you want to submit to me, fine. I'll look at it and probably comment. Okay. But it will do you. But if you are not submitting, it's not compulsory you submit.
Okay.
But make sure you study it. But if you submit, I'll read, I'll make comments as much as possible. Not more than a page, both in one single page, sent to my email or sent to, there are other ways people communicate on that chat section on the e-learning. Is that okay?
Yes, ma, it's okay, ma. Thank you very much, ma.
Thank you too, ma. Doshima, is he still here or is gone? Abdul Hamed Shehu, I think you have the floor.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, we really appreciate on what you are doing. We are very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for.
I want to ask, I need more explanation on the word universe.
On what?
More explanation on the word universe.
Okay, what's universe?
Yes, what is and how many planets are in the universe?
How many planets are in the universe?
Yes, the universe. Yes.
A Google search will give you that.
Okay.
If you ask Google that, it will tell you. I think it's not a main focus for this class. But the sense in which we talked about planets is based on those 2 views, geocentric, heliocentric. Geocentric says the Earth is at the center of the universe, while you have other planets revolving around it. That's geocentric. Heliocentric of Copernicus says no, it is rather the sun that is at the center of the universe and other planetary bodies revolving around it. But if you want to know how many planets are in the universe, do a quick Google search to tell you. Is that okay?
Thank you. Is that okay?
Thank you. Okay. So I'll call Otompo. I'm asking you to unmute and you go ahead with your question or comment. Is she there? Unmute yourself.
Hello, ma.
Yes, hello? I can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, ma. Please, ma, they make mention of the classic age of science because I came in it, so I didn't really understand that point. Once you know that.
What don't you understand specifically?
What is about the classic age of scientific?
Classic age, what it means.
Yes.
Is the age where there are a couple of scientific inventions. Classic age. You have it. You have the role. That's where we talked about this guy, Antoine, inventing gas, which we call oxygen, which I said, if we are to look at it with the eye of a scientific person, I mean 21st century person, it won't make much sense. But at the time where they lived, it was a big deal because it was initially a puzzle, what causes burning in a certain situation, and at another situation, there is no such burning. So he discovered the use of gas for respiration and for combustion. And so the classic age is the century between 18th and 19th centuries. That's it, basically. The next slide is talking about what I just explained. Is that okay? You should read your text more so that you can gain more. All right? Stop sharing.
All right.
Is that all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Doshima, where did you disappear to earlier? You have the floor. Unmute yourself. Adam, Doshima, Susan.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for the lecture. Thank you so much for the lectures.
Thank you too.
Yeah, while I was going through the study
While you were
material.
what? Okay.
While I was going through the study material.
Okay.
I came across a place where they made mention of hypothesis and aesthetic symmetry.
Hypothesis.
You can put more like
hypothesis where where? Huh?
Huh?
I can't hear you. Where?
Hello?
Where did
the network is breaking?
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, that part of Copernican theory.
Okay.
Yeah, where they said he based this theory on logical assumptions or hypotheses and his taste for aesthetic symmetry.
What is being said there, which I think we mentioned, that Copernican did not come about is a heliocentric view through experimentation, but rather through this thing that you just said, through logical hypotheses, like he thought of it. And we saw in Galilei Galilei, that when he came, he invented the telescope and he was viewing the cloud, he was able to identify, he was able to corroborate what Copernicus had said. So the point being made in what you read is that while you would think that Copernicus arrived at his theory through experimentation, no, but rather through logical hypothesis. That was through hypothesis and through something else you mentioned that he got that. And we see how succeeding scientists, succeeding philosophers, they corroborated this view of Copernicus on heliocentrism.
Okay. All right, ma. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mute yourself, please. So I'll call Aliyu Lawal. Aliyu Lawal, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Aliyu Lawal. We have 4 more minutes to go.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
How was the work, ma?
Apparently fine.
Okay. Since I just joined the class in the late hours, so I
And
need to
you've
know.
been laughing all through, like something is very funny. You were not paying attention.
It's not like this. Sorry. The thing is, like for now, if I want to submit as like that madam asked before, if she wanted to submit her assignment, so is it going to be marked and be added on my GP or not?
Did you hear my response to the questionnaire you just referred to?
Yes, I had.
So that settles it.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yes, I hear. But it said that it is willingly for a person to submit this one, but it's not compulsory. The thing is, if I submit the assignment to you and you maybe mark it, and that mark will be benefited to my GP.
If you heard the response given to the question, that should address it. All right? Ali.
Okay,
Welcome. Thank you. All right. Okay. Yeah, this hand has been on for some time. Esu Pascal Innocent. Unmute yourself. So I'm going to, we have 3 more minutes. Unmute yourself and speak, Pascal Innocent.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm pleased to join the class today, and I'm pleased likewise to raise up my hands to ask some few questions and to remind you of what we discussed.
I'm sorry, you sent me an assignment, something.
Yes, I did.
I saw it, I read it, I thought to myself I would respond later, and I didn't remember again, but I'll get back to you.
Okay. First, the unit you have just taught today is cleared, and I don't have much questions to ask on that.
Okay.
Then regarding the chat issue, I'm having a larger issue on the chat box at the portal. I couldn't post anything there. I've attempted using my laptop, using my phone, and nothing come up. So you said I should remind you that you ask the other 3 persons that posted some things there, how they did it. So since then, the last class we had, I intended to remind you, but we finished up the class earlier. So
yeah, I think maybe there's a problem with it. I don't know, but I saw 2 people who sent chats to that. Do you remember their names? 2 people who sent to that chat session on eLearn. I wanted to ask how they did it. I know something, Victor Musa or something like that.
Yeah, something
if
like
if they are in class, maybe they can tell us in the chat box how they did that. But I think the lack of response is probably due to the platform not working very well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would that be all? Thank you. But I will respond to your question, to your mail. I read it. I just wanted to take my time to respond, and I forgot. That was all right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So if you were able to send responses to the chat session on eLearn, please, I want you to just state to us in the chat how you did that, because many people, I think, are having challenges with it. So our time is 4 on the dot. I have 3 hands on. After those 3 people, no more. So I'm going to give, what is this? Willow Boy or Willow B, number 1. You can see me. Onu and Uchechukwu, number 2, and Leonard, number 3. Those are the 3 people who call, and we end this class. Is that okay? So I go with you. Willoughby or Willowby, sorry. You have the floor, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good evening, Ma.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, okay. It's Willoughby. All right.
Willoughby.
Okay. So yes, please. Thank you. So just a quick question. Geocentric and exocentric. When you were talking about the planet, the Earth either being around the sun or in the center. Yeah, I don't know. I think every people have different definition of what they think where the Earth is actually. Well, I don't know. What do you think is the right one? You know, because growing growing up in geographic classes, or even when you go online and do a quick Google search or you see pictures of how it is, you find out that I think there are 2 planets in front even before the Earth. Like the Earth is the third. Even so, you have like the sun, then 2 other planets, and before the Earth. So, but I don't know. So those are pictures and those are things we see while growing up. So I don't know what you think is the exact one. So is the Earth actually in the center, or or is the sun in the center? So that's just
okay. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. It's not in dispute. It is what Copernicus says that I think continues to hold sway till this day. That the sun is at the center of the universe and not the Earth. At least to the best of my knowledge, that has not been disproved. You may want to pick issues with other things about the location of different planets, of which we have several planets, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, and the likes. Where they are located is a different question entirely. But regarding the centrality, and regarding the question of whether the Earth is at the center, that has been disproved. That's Ptolemy disproved. And it's recognized, acknowledged. I was deliberately emphasizing succeeding scientists corroborating Copernicus's theory of heliocentrism. Galileo, I think Newton, Kepler, they all affirmed that it is the sun that is at the center of the universe and not the Earth, as Ptolemy had said. So, but when you talk about location of many other planets, a few of them I mentioned, that's a different question entirely. Is that okay?
But Ptolemy is also a scientist, right?
Yes.
So what do you think that made him, come to that assumption or brought the theory that the Earth is in the center?
Well, what made him come to the assumption, to the conclusion at the time?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but you know that because given that the church held sway at the time, and Copernicus ran into problem with the church, we highlighted the implication of that. That means we humans, we are no longer the center of creation. Okay, so many philosophers at the time writing, they were actually trying, those who wanted to avoid trouble with the church, they were actually writing to avoid trouble. So they're going to say things that would not land them in prison. Would not even cost them their lives, because some were actually killed because of some of their postulations, of which Pope John Paul II, before he died, apologized for some of those things at some point in time. Okay, so the exact thing that made him, it could just be the limitation of his knowledge that made him say, oh, it's the Earth. Or it could be that he wasn't bold enough to go contrary to what the church teaches, because the theory of heliocentrism actually goes against the teaching of the church. And that's why even Copernicus, his books were burnt at some point in time. Yes. Many of them ran into problem, even Galileo, even Descartes, even Newton, you know, many of them. So a number of things could have made him. It could even just be that, well, that was how far he could go. Or it could just be playing to the gallery. I don't want to land in trouble. Or let me just say the one that would, because he had the backing of it. So that's it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So
thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to the next person. Onu Uche Chukwu. Oh yeah. Unmute yourself.
Hello, Ma.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Ma. Ma, thank you so much for the class.
Thank you, too.
Ma, please, what do you say concerning the 19th century of a scientific revolution and the 20th century of scientific revolution?
Did you say anything about 19th and 20th century? I don't think so.
Yeah, you said something concerning the revolution, but I didn't get it.
Scientific revolution, that's what we've been discussing here. One of the revolutions in science is this upturning of an existing view to saying that this is not the view and saying that this is the view. That's what I just commented on in Willoughby that I responded to. Before.
Okay, you just all about the logic. Is all about this logic that we are treating?
It's not all about logic. Listen. Listen.
Okay.
When you talk about revolution is like you make a radical change about something. That's what we call revolution ordinarily. When you talk about political revolution, it could be coup d'etat. It could be changing from democracy to autocracy. It could be radical. It could be total. But when you talk about, what we're talking about in scientific revolution is that there is a major turnaround at some point in the history of science about the understanding of the world, that initially it was believed that the earth was central, and at the center, other planetary bodies revolve around it. In fact, in philosophy, we refer to this Copernican as, there's something we call Copernican revolution. This is what we're talking about. So it's a revolution. That's in addition to some of the discoveries, some of the inventions made at the time. Galileo discovered telescope, Antoine Laurent discovered gas, and so on and so forth. So that's what made it a revolution. Is that okay?
Okay, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma.
Thank you.
We do enjoy your class. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm calling the last but not the least. Please mute yourself. There's so much noise. Last but not the least, Leonard, I'm asking you to unmute yourself.
Good morning. Good evening, Ma.
Good morning, sir.
Good evening, Ma. Sorry.
Good evening.
Sorry for the miscalculation of time.
It's okay.
Please,
maybe you're just.
Okay, my question goes like this.
Our planet.
Sorry for that, please.
It's okay. It's okay.
God bless you. God bless you, Ma. Please, I want to ask because talking about in view of, I know that science, according to what we have read, that science has a scientific method of arriving to theories. So, but what I want to know in this, all these laws that we are bringing out now from the Francis Bacon and so on and so forth, is there any scientific method that they followed in order to get those theories so that it will help us to really be more factual if we know it?
What laws now? I'm not sure we've discussed any law in this class.
Like the theories of sun being at the center, and the letter the first one Jonah Kepler, the first one is it Kepler, who said it's at the earth is at the middle, is at the center, and another person came up and said that the earth is at the man.
Have you been in this class?
Today is my first day. I'm very, very sorry.
It's okay.
I'm very, very sorry.
I'll just put the things right. Eh? It is not Kepler. It is not Kepler that said the sun is at the center. Kepler is talking about law of motion, something like that. Be planetary, something.
Talking about the planets. Talking about the planets.
Will you allow me to talk, or you want to take over?
Yeah, yes, I will allow you. I will allow you very much.
So what we've discussed, there are scientists that we highlighted at the beginning that we'll be looking at one after the other when we started the class. Yes. So we started with Ptolemy of Alexandria. That's the first. I will urge you, after this class, go back to this portion of your course material and read it. The ideas you are mixing up, they will become clear, okay? But I'm just going to do a quick rundown of it. Ptolemy of Alexandria. Please mute yourself. Mute yourself. A child is crying and is distracting everybody. Ptolemy of Alexandria is associated with geocentric view. What does that mean? Geography, Earth is at the center of the universe. That was what he said. Copernicus came and said, no, that is not it. It is rather the sun. That is what is called heliocentric view. Those are important views in history, in science, in philosophy. Galileo came, invented telescope, corroborated the view of Copernicus. Like that. Each of them came, most of them corroborated the view of Copernicus and made their own contributions. Antoine Laurent de Lavoisier discovered gas, for combustion and for respiration. Bacon systematized the scientific method. So each of those philosophers who were also scientists, they made their own contributions. So their contributions are what we refer to as revolutions, especially one major revolution at this age that we're discussing or that we've discussed in this class is that alteration in the world or changing of the perception that held sway about where the world is located. That's what we're saying, basically. You've mixed up a lot of ideas. It's okay. I've tried to explain it. But make sure you go back to your text and read it. It will become clearer. Is that okay? So we've come to the end of the class. Everybody, you may unmute yourself and you go till next week. Have a nice weekend. You can unmute, right? You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Ma. We enjoyed the class.
Good evening, Ma. I really wanted to.
Nice weekend.
I don't know. I sent an SMS to you. I didn't even respond to that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
God bless you.
Yeah, well, I'm very grateful. Bless you, Ma.
Amen.
Bless you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. See you next week.
Okay, Ma. See you next week. When are we okay? It's constant every Friday.
I hope you are doing your TMAs.
Yes, ma'am.
We are doing it.
All the best.
You know, finish it. You know, see the assignment what they do here.
Okay.
This assignment is another the page where I'm going to see it.
I'm sure some other people have done their TMA.
Somebody that will be
Don't worry.
good boy. The method of reading, man. Method of reading. Yeah.
Everybody put 4 to 5. This class is always 3 to 5.
Some TMIs are not opening in my own.
Amos,
TMS are not opening in my own. Some TMS are not opening in my own.
That must have been from you. 3 to 5 every Friday.
Can you please post the slides? Please post the slides on the Moodle platform.
All right. So I'm ending the class for everybody. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, man. Have a wonderful weekend.
This class we learned to.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody. Who participated in the class. Thank everybody who participated in the class. Read their books very well. Everybody read your books very well. Help us. I hope you are reading your books. I hope you are reading your books very well. I hope you are reading your books very well. Everybody. Read hard, read hard. Read very hard, everybody read very hard. Janet Victoria Okwabi and Doshima Suzanne read very well. God bless you. Kolede Olaiwola. Yeah, God bless you. Read very well. Everybody,
You to read very well.
I know that scientific is a very big story. God will help all of us.
No, thank you, bro.
Is there any WhatsApp group for this course?
I'm happy to see all of you.